Are you sick and tired of plain old vanilla Genshin character models? Maybe you wish Venti looked more like he did back in the Archon Wars. Or maybe you wish Eula could do a best impression of Artorias the Abysswalker. Who knows, maybe you'd like to use a character you usually can't. Well, if any of those are your cup of tea, then you're in the right place because you can mod Genshin to do all of this and more. Hi, I'm Snowlet, and today I'll be your guide on how to mod Genshin Impact using 3D Magoto. It should be noted that the same process can also be used for modding Honkai Star Rail as well. Just make sure you use SRMI in place of GIMI and all the steps that follow. Now, a lot of you are probably wondering, is this safe? Can I use this on the live server without being banned? How dangerous is it? Well, I personally have been using 3D Magoto to mod Genshin for almost a year, and haven't been banned yet. Most modding related bans for Genshin are for cheat engines that also inject mods, or for more invasive systems that modify files, such as Melon Loader. Without going into the technical details, 3D Magoto injects into the graphics processors and does not modify base game files. With that said, this is only working off of historical information, but we know that it's happened already. There may be bans issued in the future for the use of 3D Magoto based mods. If this does happen, however, the initial ban will be temporary, most likely not longer than 2 weeks, unless you have had previous bans on your account. As always, it's up to you whether this risk is acceptable or not. There have been some bans related to the use of 3D Magoto mods. These have mostly been cases where someone has either streamed their game with mods active or have posted screenshots, in both cases with a visible user identification number or UID. If you do intend to share screenshots or stream with the mod as active, it's recommended that you install the Hide UID mod, available on Game Banana. I've attached a link for this in the description if that's what you're looking for. You may also be worried about the ban rate that happened in Honkai Star Rail. Understandably so. Same company, same software, right? Well, while it's far from proven, it's my personal theory that this was misdiagnosed as being caused by the modding software. Specifically, I believe that the dataset collected for this overrepresented those who made use of 3D Magoto. Funnily enough, if you ask a Discord server full of people who use modding software if they got banned while using modding software, chances are they were using modding software when they got banned. Fun challenge: take a shot of water every time I say modding software. You may also be wondering if mods are safe to use in co-op. All mods loaded through 3D Magoto are client-side only, which means that your co-op partners won't see the mods you're using. If they're also using mods, they'll see the mods they have installed instead. Now, with the boring stuff out of the way, we can move on to installing the software. First off, I assume you already have Genshin installed. If you don't, why are you here? Just please go do this right now. Seriously, none of the rest of this guide will make sense without it. I'd also recommend having either WinZip or 7-zip installed on your computer for modding. These will be required to decompress mods in .rar and .7z formats. These can both be found online readily. Once you've made sure you have the prerequisite software, navigate to the GitHub link for Genshin Impact Model Importer, or GIMI. There's a link for this in the description here. Then ask yourself a very simple question. Do I want to just use mods, or do I plan to contribute and make mods? If you just want to use mods, you should download the For Playing Mods version of GIMI. Otherwise, download the For Development version of GIMI. Both are installed the same either way. Once you've downloaded this, your next step is to unzip it. Just open the file, click, and drag the file to the destination folder. Make sure this is not your Genshin folder. Once you've done this, open the folder and find the d3dx.ini file. The extension may be hidden depending on your settings. Open it. Now that you've opened it, close it again. Unlike with previous versions of GIMI, you do not need to make any modifications to the target path for Genshin. I repeat, do not modify the target path for Genshin. Modifying the path is currently the leading cause of mods not working for people reporting issues in AGMG. GIMI should now be operational, but hold on a minute, we're missing mods! Fortunately, you can head on over to Game Banana and download some from here. Check the description for a link. As for the mod I'll use for demonstration, let's go with this one. You'll need to download it to your drive, like I already have, and then unzip it, just like we did with GIMI earlier. However, this time, the unzipped folder needs to go into the mods folder inside GIMI. Putting the compressed file in this folder instead will mean that your mod will fail to load. This is why I recommended having either WinZip or 7-zip on your computer. Some mod makers prefer to use .rar or .7z file formats for compression, which cannot be handled natively by Windows Explorer, like .zip files can be. So, we have our software, we have our mods. All that's left is the execution. First, you want to right-click the 3D Magoto loader executable file and select Run as Administrator. Note you only need to do this on your first time running the loader. This will open up a command prompt window, which should look like this if you've done it right. Afterwards, start the Genshin launcher and then launch the game from here. The command prompt window will read out like this and then will close itself. This is normal, expected behavior. Do not close the window yourself. Once you're on the main menu for Genshin, you can check to make sure GIMI has injected itself properly by pressing F1. Assuming it has, you'll get a help menu, like this. This means you're all set to go. The other way to check mods are working is to load into the game proper and, well, check the character appearance. If they're modded, congratulations, your mods are working. One thing worth noting, as of version 4.4, the most recent version at the time of recording, mods have not yet been fixed to work with the new dynamic character resolution setting. As such, this setting should be turned off when you're using mods, like this. Sometimes, even after following all these steps, your mods just won't be working. If this is the case, my recommendation is to come down to the AGMG, or Anime Game Modding Group, Discord server. You can find a link for this in the description. Here you can ask for help troubleshooting in the verification support channel, found here. With that said, there are a few things you can do to troubleshoot on your own first. If pressing F1 doesn't bring up a help menu, you may need to add delay. To do this, you need to search for a line that says delay equals 20 in d3dx.ini, located here. I recommend using the find function to locate this. Once you've found it, remove the semicolon from the start of the line, like so, and then save the file. Close d3dx.ini, close Genshin if you still have it open, and then follow the same startup procedure as before. Run 3DM loader, start Genshin, press F1 in the login menu. If this has worked, the help menu should now appear. The other common cause of issues with injecting GIMI is to have GIMI stored in your Genshin folder. Again, I've already mentioned this, but if you are having these issues, please check where you've put GIMI first. Let's say you have mods working, but they look a little wrong. Something like this, or even something like this. Not to worry, there's a few common causes for this kind of effect, and you don't even have to close Genshin to fix the issues. One of these can occur at any time if you're not careful, installing two different mods that go over the same character. Unless the mods go over different skins, there will be a corruption effect like this. The good news is that the solution is very simple. All you have to do is locate the mod that you like less, and either delete it, or add a disable to the front of the folder name in your mods folder, like this. Once this is done, press F10 to reload mods, and you should see the mod you installed. Secondly, if there has just been a game update, it's likely that Hoyoverse has made some structural changes to the game files, which means the mod is trying to overwrite outdated values. This has happened twice with apocalyptic consequences in the past, once in 4.1 and again in 4.3. So, if you log in just after a patch and your characters with mods active look like this, don't fret. I recommend checking Game Banana first, as there will usually be an announcement made there for something like this happening, and then it'll ask you have patience. Times like this are very stressful for our devs, so please, don't heckle them. They know it's broken, and they're doing their best to fix it. With both 4.1 and 4.3, scripts to fix playable characters were generally released within 10 hours of the patch going live. Mods released prior to 4.4 will likely be broken, as they don't have the updated markers needed to make mods work. Fortunately, a combined fix for all prior versions, 4.1, 4.3 and also 4.4, which broke a handful of characters, has been released. To use this fixer, download it from Game Banana, place the script in your mods folder, and then run the script. Once it finishes executing, press Enter to close the command prompt window, then press F10 to reload mods in-game. If it's worked, the distortion should be gone. If the help menu appears when you press F1, but mods aren't appearing for your characters, make sure you've put them in the mods folder in GIMI, and double and triple check that you've decompressed them. You'll be surprised how many people forget about this step, even after being told about it. You can also see mods partially load, or have characters be missing a few limbs. The easiest fix for this is to switch characters and then teleport to a distant location, basically unloading the active character and then reloading them. If none of these suggestions solve your issues, I would once again recommend asking for help in the AGMG Discord server. With that said, I'd also recommend joining the AGMG Discord server, even if you're not having problems with getting mods loaded. While the vast majority of mods are also posted on Game Banana, there are some that are only posted in this server. However, in order to access these mods, you're going to need to verify. This confirms that you have mods working in your game. To verify, all you need to do is produce a screenshot that contains both your game and your Discord username. Both must be visible on the same screen. Verification is mainly done to keep questions regarding tech support for GIMI out of the other support channels, and more specifically, the general chat channel. I hope you found this guide helpful. If things change patch to patch, I'll try to leave notes in the pinned comments whenever I can. Besides that should wrap up everything you need to know to get started. Remember to mod safely, keep your wits about you, and most importantly, enjoy.